What is going on YouTube? Today I'm going to show you guys how to put a smart coil in your S2000. So what we're going to be doing today, I have decided to finally upgrade the ignition on Honda. I have been on stock coils now its whole life. I still run stock coils. As you can see, factory Honda coils and everything. And since we're starting to run such high boost levels and such, I really needed to upgrade ignition eventually. And also running more alcohol style fuels, you need a little bit longer spark, hotter spark to ignite that fuel. Another big reason I want to go to these is I want to be able to start running V-Power racing non-resistor plugs. Not only are they way cheaper, but apparently they actually do put off a lot better spark. Currently right now we run the Iridiums 9s and they're expensive. They're like $8, $9 a piece. And when you're checking plugs a lot to look for air to fuel ratios and timing, you have to have new plugs for a race. It gets kind of expensive. So with the smart coils, the wires are going to have the resistance in them, so they're not affecting the ECU. The reason we have to run resistor plugs now is because when you run coil and plug, there's no resistance and you can get a lot of interference into the ECU and screw up your ECU logs and stuff like that. So once we go to the IGN-1A coils, we'll have plugs, wires that will have the resistance, and the RFI eliminates, so there's no backfeeding into the ECU. And we'll be able to run any plug we want. So it's going to save money on the plugs, and I'll have a lot more options on heat ranges and what kind of plugs I want to run. So initially I decided to get this really cool from Motion Raceworks smart coil bar, but we're not going to use it. So probably just going to sell it. What I ended up doing was the bar has the coils goes like that and makes it quite long. Well, where we're going to be putting them, I want to mount them kind of like in a sandwich on a sideways like that. Yeah, like that. And so what I went up doing is went to a local hardware store. We got some spacers and some of this threaded bar and some nuts. And we're going to make our own bracket. We're going to use these two guys, bend in shape and everything. And we're going to hide them up in the cowl here. Not only will it make it a nice clean look, but it'll also stay a lot cooler up here versus putting them over top of the manifold or over here. And it'll just help keep the engine bay not so cluttered. So all we're gonna have then is we'll have a hole here. The spark plug wires will come through and the spark plug wire boots will go down, and that'll really is all you'll see. We're going to use the factory trigger wire to trigger them, but then we will be running a relay and a ground to ground and power the new coils because they take a lot of voltage and amperage. So right there is one of our battery posts, so we'll probably tie into that. And then right here is our main ground, so we'll tie into that. So today, really all I'm gonna do is try to fit it down in here, try to get it where I want it, and secure it to the inside of the cowl. All right, so this is what we came up with. I got those two long studs that go down. We got our spacers in, and I offset the coils so that way it would be easier to get our plugs in and out if we had to replace one or anything like that. So now it's like 1, 2, 3, 4. I could switch them back the other way if I really wanted to, and then it wouldn't really make a difference with this mount. And then we just took an L bracket here, and so they're gonna go in like this. We heated this up and bent it, and then they're gonna go in there, and that's just gonna attach there. And what we're gonna do is I wanna put those rubber grommets just to give it a little bit of, I guess, vibration. I don't know if it would hurt anything. I don't think it would, but we're just gonna do is small little rubber spacers. As you can see, it's a little bit of a tight fit in there, but it'll work. The spacer will give it a little bit more room too for the plugs in the back, and then we'll be good up there with the spark plugs connecting. We'll have to do a little hole here, and then we'll run the spark plug wires through. So this should work really well. Just gonna drill our holes and get this mounted. All right, guys, you can't even tell they're in there. Once this cowl is down, boom, look at that. Nice mount, cheap mount. And like I said, if I have problems with the wires too close, like I can see right now, that little stud is right there. I'll just flip these all upward is fine. Probably just have to put the clips on first and then push them down in there. I'm not sure, but anyways, that's exactly what I wanted to do. Get it in there nice and tight. Got plenty of room on the backside for the triggers. Plenty of room up top for the wires. Wires will come through. What I'm gonna do here is this whole harness, I'm gonna probably rip all apart, get the wires, the triggers that I need. I'm not really gonna need the grounds, and I'm not going to need, well, I will need one of the 12 volts because that's the ignition volt to turn the ignition on. So I'll need that to trigger a relay. I'm probably gonna have a relay, most likely, I don't know, even here, or I might mount it here, I don't know. We'll have a relay in here, waterproof relay. Relay we'll click on, and then we'll have power going to the coils, and then boom, spark plug wire. So not a crazy hard job. If you guys ever want to go to Smart Coils, these things pack a serious punch. You can get on YouTube, and there's a couple of videos on there that are measuring like factory style coil and plug versus these Smart Coils. Big difference. We're talking like, I'm not sure what it's measured. I think they measure them in like a millivolts or something per second. I'm not really sure how it's measured, but anyways, I knew the number stuck in my head. Like a factory Honda coil was like 28 or 32 something. And these things were like 150 or 165. It was like way more power. So these things will make a very nice spark, long duration of spark. They work very well. They're pretty much on all big race cars. These IGN 1A coils are very popular. So that's what I went with. So I'm really excited to try them. Firecore is gonna have wires here real soon. Big shout out to Firecore. These guys made these wires within a day. They're like, oh yeah, we got that. We can get them out to you. And very good price. Firecore has some of the best wires, and they also make their own smart coil. These are just the old Mercury smart coils right from them. And that's what they were all made from. A lot of companies basically take those, they might rework them, or they might just throw their sticker on and sell them for $100 a piece. You can actually get these for like 30-40 bucks a piece. So they're really not that expensive. And I'll most likely get at least one or two spares just in case we ever have issues at the track. Obviously, I'll always keep relays at the track in case the relay anything ever happens there. But I'm really excited to try these and get these going. The car should idle better, run better, make better power, and I'll be able to run any spark plug I want. Firecore showed up. All right, so we got our Firecore wires. These are very nicely made. These are the Firecore 50s. We got our boots. We got our ends. They are in. They're a little tall, as you can see, but no big deal. I knew we're not really gonna be able to run the cover anymore anyways, but no big deal. So we got our placement here. I'm gonna bolt this in because I wanna see what kind of wire job we're gonna do. So basically we're gonna get rid of all this insulation, tear that all apart, and then figuring out running those down into the firewall here to figure out our trigger wires, power wires, ground wires. These will obviously be easy. Just hook those up, just drill a hole. So really it's just gonna be coming down to wiring up the clips. These are the clips that we gotta wire up, simple. Here's our pins we gotta put in. And then we got some mil-spec wiring. So if you guys want top of the line wiring, milspec.com, milspecwiring.com. And we got our 18 gauge wire here. So stuff's really good. So basically like 18 gauge mil-spec will outflow like 18 gauge traditional wire. It's just very high grade wire. So yeah, 18 gauge should be plenty for what we're doing. Also, to go with our power, we're going to be running these really big relays. These are 80 to 60 amp open relays. They're also waterproof. These got really good ratings, so these are apparently very good. They're all waterproof, as you can see. They got the silicone on the front and the back, so we shouldn't have any issues, and quite large wires. So this is what's going to trigger the ignition power for our coils. I also got some extra waterproof, just normal 30 to 40 amp relays, because we ended up corroding up our nitrous relay and we were dead in the water. So grab some relays and try these out, see how they work. All right, so we got our triggers, grounds, and 12 volts figured out. So the center is going to be our ground, which is our black wire. Can't really see because the shielding's on it. Our outside wire there, which is the other black and yellow, will be our 12 volts. And then the guys that are unpinned are our trigger wires. And this one's white. This one's like a white and green. This one's a white and black, and that's a white and blue. So I wrote all those down so we know our white, blue, white, green, white, black. So we know our order, because we don't want to mix up the order here. We want to make sure number 1 coil is triggered with number 1 trigger, and that our number 1 spark plug is going to our number 1 cylinder. So make sure you guys don't mix any of that up. So use our multimeter to make sure we found our black, our 12 volts, and our trigger. So now I'm going to go ahead and really tear this down and get the wires out and basically make a new ignition harness to hook everything up. Here is where all the fun happens. So what we did was we cut 4 of our trigger wires, all the same length. So now we have 4 wires cut the same length. This is going to be our triggers. So we're going to go ahead and wire up our trigger wires. So first things first, you're going to go ahead and slide your protective guy on, which is going to go just like that. Just like that. Slide her on, and that's going to keep the back, so when that goes in there, it's going to keep water intrusion out. Now we're going to go ahead and cut a little bit off the end. Make sure that you have enough wire and not too much. All right, a little wire there. And then you're gonna line it up to make sure, so that's pretty perfect actually. So as you can see, I got the wire in there, and then the insulation goes around the back. Get her in there and clamp down. And boom, there you go. Very nice crimp. Make sure it's tight, and it is. It's not going anywhere. So according to all the coils, trigger wire is A. So you can see on the top of this clip, you have A, B, C, D. So we're going into A. It looks like, so normally these are only going one way. So we're gonna attempt the fin down and see if it clips in. All right, did you hear that clip? Clip. It was fin down. Then we'll take our insulation and we'll run it down. A lot of times what you need to do is get some type of really thin needle nose, and then I'll just take that and I'll crunch it down in there. We're gonna go ahead and clip that on number 1, just so we can see how it'll run. And that went in there nice. 3 more to do. All right, you can see we got our trigger wires wired up, and I'm gonna make it look real nice. Like once everything's done, everything pulled, loomed up with zip ties, everything will be nice and streamlined, but we gotta run the rest of our wires. So the top guy here, that's gonna be our 12 volts. So that wire is actually gonna run to our relay. So they're all gonna be joined together and ran to our relay for 12 volts. And then the middle 3 are all grounds. So all 3 of those will be all connected into one wire, and that wire will go to the cylinder head. All right, you guys that do this for a living or do harnesses, I feel for you because that sucks. I'm not a big wire fan at all. I'm more of the mechanical. I like the mechanical side, building motors and stuff. Wiring, not my thing, but for my job, my day job, I actually do a lot of the wiring and soldering and all that. So I know a little thing about this, but I don't enjoy it, I can tell you that. But we got everything wired up. So as you can see here, we got our trigger wire, our white. All of our grounds are in the middle, which is our blacks. And then we got a black and yellow for our power Plugging wire. Along here, so we got our big 60 amp relay. We're gonna tuck it down in there, it's all waterproof. We got our ground for our main relay going in here. And then we got our power going in right there, right to our battery terminal. And then right here's our trigger wire. So this trigger wire has to get hooked up to one, or no, not trigger, sorry. This is the 12 volt trigger, not coil trigger, 12 volt trigger. So that'll get hooked up, and we only need to hook up one of the 12 volt wires. So the other ones will just get capped, and then we'll run one long one down for that. So that way when the ignition gets turned on, the relay gets turned on and it turns the coils on. Something that can get overlooked is not using caps on wires that you have cut. So any wires that you have cut and that are just dangling around, if any of those wires is a 12 volt or even like a 5 volt sensor wire and it touches metal and grounds and shorts, it can blow fuses, make your ECU do crazy stuff. So get in a habit, because just cutting the wire, there's insulation, there's still that wire face and it can touch something. So in order to reduce that from happening, they make these little caps. You can put the cap on and crimp it, and then it's guaranteed it will not touch or arc anything, blow any fuses, fry your ECU. We don't want that happening. So any wires that I'm cutting today, I'm gonna be putting these little caps on. All right, we're gonna do a quick test. So we got our relay hooked up and our trigger wire. This is our 12 volts to turn the relay on. So once the relay turns on, we'll have our alternator 12 volt battery to the coil. So right now I just have our multimeter hooked up. So we're gonna go ahead and turn the power on. So power's on, we should not have 12 volts. All right. That's millivolts, which is like nothing. So as soon as we turn the ignition on, we should have 12 volts. And boom, 12 volts, 12.5. So our relay is working. All right, we're getting really close here, guys. So I cleaned up the coil packs nice and tight and clean. So what we have right now is all these black guys here are our grounds. They will all get joined together and go to our main head ground. So this is our main head ground that attaches back to the head there. Our black and yellows are our 12 volt powers. So that is going to be our relay right here. We might have to run an additional wire over, which is fine. And then our trigger wires will get wired in separately. That's why they're still long, because all of our trigger wires are over here, all these white wires. So we're gonna have to, of course, make sure they're in order. And we are going to be set. So probably real soon here, we can do the first fire up, get the computer settings correct, and see how they work. So here we go. Here's our little harness. It just clips right on up. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna go ahead and place this down inside like that, 'cause that's where it's gonna go. And we're gonna go ahead and start finishing our wiring, get our main wire on, and then we're gonna have to, I didn't mark these and they're all the same color, so we're gonna have to use a multimeter to see what's 1, 2, 3, and 4, and go ahead and hook all those up. All right, we're in. Look at that. Nice and flush to the firewall there. Did a little more tape. We taped these guys down in here. I'm gonna leave those wires, I mean, they're hidden and they're all in good shape, so we're just gonna kind of leave them. But yeah, we're in good shape. We're just waiting on buddy Ryan to come over. I found a busted seal, so he's bringing me over some seals. So we'll go ahead and replace that guy. And then we ain't gonna need these anymore. So all we gotta do now is figure out where we wanna drill our hole for our spark plug wires. All right, got our hole. What I did was I took some vacuum line, cut it, slid it down the middle, and then did that just to keep the wires from doing anything crazy and getting cut. Looks like I'm gonna have to take this back out and clean my shavings up. All right, we are set and ready. We got our valve cover on, our plugs are in, coils are in. We're gonna go ahead and start her up. So on our settings, we have a 6 max with a 3 min. And you can see down here, I went ahead and put 50%. And then I have 120 to 130 up top. I'll probably just do 100 up top, just to see what, because that'll be 130 will be like almost 7. So let's go ahead and just do, we'll do 100 here. So 100 will be the full 6 on dwell. And then you can see the correction. If it does drop to 12 volts, it'll add a little bit more dwell. And then at idle, we don't need all that dwell. So at idle, we got it all taken out. So let's crank her up here and see how she idles. Go ahead and write that to the ECU. Idling really nice. I feel like it's a much crisper idle. I guess we did something right. All right, so one of our main reasons for going is being able to run these NGK V-Power racing plugs. They're not iridiums. They're way cheaper. They don't have a projected tip, so it helps with blowout. And yeah, they're a non-resistor plug. These are 9s. The only one to run is a 9, but I also have some 10s, so we'll probably try the 10s. But I'm really hoping that with the wires and these coils, that we won't have any RFI noise or anything affecting the ECU, so we can start running these plugs now. All right, we got our iridiums out and we got our new V-Powers in there. We're gonna go ahead and hook her up, start it up and see if we get any RFI. Typically, you don't see RFI until high RPM, but we'll go ahead and start up and see how the ECU's acting. Well guys, I am super stoked. It's working. All the coils are nice and cold. There's nothing hot. That means we got good ground, good power. It's idling. It's actually idling nicer. It's very crisp. And I also noticed a lot like on ethanol, my EGTs would kind of be a little weird. And you'd hear misfires every once in a while. Those are completely gone. There's no misfires. So it's igniting much, much better. So I'm really excited to go out and test this car. It might really pick up some power with these coils. Again, these aren't really something that your typical 500-600 horsepower street turbo application is going to need. But when you start running crazy amounts of boost and you start using ethanol and methanol alcohol style fuels, you're gonna need a hotter spark. So anytime you see like drag cars, race cars, typically are gonna have some type of ignition upgrade. So this was long overdue. I should have had this a long time ago. We just wanted to see how far we could push the K and F coils, which they do a good job. I mean, the car's been very fast on a stock ignition. It was just time to upgrade. Not only that, it is safer. So yes, you make more power with more coil power, but it's also safer because now you're actually burning the mixture that you're trying to do. You're not misfiring, you're not blowing fuel past into the rings. So it is a safer setup. It's the same thing with going to alcohol fuels. It's just safer. Do you make more power? Yeah, you can make more power, but it also is safer. As your power level increases, your octane needs to increase, your fuel delivery needs to increase, your ignition needs to increase. It all comes together as one. And when you're lacking in an area, that can really hold you back. And I think the ignition was really lacking on this car. Hopefully anybody that's looking to go to a smart coil in S2000, this video will help you out. Again, guys, I do work on customer cars. If you guys need any help, hit me up. I am JM Tuning. You can hit me up on Facebook, Instagram. And if you guys need any questions, you can always throw them in the comments. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you guys want to see in the future. If you guys want any tech tips, want to know anything about the car, let me know in the comments. I do read them, I do respond, and I will get back to you guys. Again, appreciate it. Comment, like, subscribe if you like what you're watching, and I will see you at Summer Duck in about a week. Later. Bonus footage. We got some legit O-rings from Tile and some new base plate screws. So yeah, we already opened up our wastegate here. O-ring was doing good. I only had obviously a couple pulls on it, but it's nice and soft still. So we know these in a pinch will work, but we're gonna go ahead and put the Tile one in just to have it factory. But yeah, we'll get these in. I'm gonna add a little bit of gate spring as well, and we'll be good to go. So yeah, guys, see you next time.